This is Linda L. Fagan. She's no longer a vice admiral, she's an admiral, and she's also the commandant. What commandant is, it's like the top boss. It's the Biden of the Coast Guard. So she is now in charge of everything doing with the Coast Guard. Prior to being the commandant, she was a vice admiral, a commander for Pacific area, and also a commander for Coast Guard Defense Force West. Her immediate subordinate is Rear Admiral Kevin Eugene Lundy, who is in 08 in 2019. So again, Linda Fagan, she was in 09 in 2019, Rear Admiral 08, Kevin Lundy. So this is Kevin Lundy, Rear Admiral. He's the commander for the 14th Coast Guard District. Mike submitted an Article 138, a UCMJ Article 138 to Kevin E. Lundy. He never received it, as far as we know, because it was returned by Captain Chase. This was in August 2019. Keep in mind, as I'm going through this binder of arts and crafts, this is only the first 6 months, first 8 months of what we were going through, what Mike had to experience at the hands of these men, at the hands of the Coast Guard, while honorably serving. So Captain Thomas H. King is in 06, so is Captain Christopher M. Chase, but for some reason they have an 06 supervising an 06. In this case, it appears that both Thomas King and Captain Chase, both captains, created a mission to attack Mike and our family. And I want to know why. I want to know what they wanted with my son, and why every single thing that they say in their testimony is about getting my son's documents, and why they enlisted him without those documents, and why they accessed Mike's PDR, which is protected, for those documents. Were they planning on raping him, murdering him? Is this guy another freaking pedo island guy? I don't know. I have no idea. If you know, I would appreciate knowing. This is Captain Christopher M. Chase, Sector Commander of Guam, Sector Guam, and he's the one that refers to my son as Ho repeatedly. Even in written documentation, he calls him Ho. This is Commander Empen, whose immediate supervisor is Captain Christopher M. Chase. Directly under Commander Joshua Empen is Commander Jonathan Cox. Jonathan and Allison Clank Cox are the ones responsible for terrifying Manai and horribly bullying her, along with their children. Manai was 9 years old at the time. Cox changes his story. In the counselor's report, he says that Mike was given a negative administrative remark in accordance with Coast Guard Discipline and Conduct Manual for failure to provide requested and necessary documents. But then he changes it repeatedly. Now it's issued because MK1 Muna was not providing support of his stepson. What's going on that all of these upper level men are willing to risk their career and do this? Willing to risk the safety of the entire nation of America? What the hell's going on? Every single one of them have this. I am Caucasian, I am white. What the fuck is that? That's not a thing. I'm Scottish and Irish, a little bit German, Samoan, Chinese, South Chinese. What the heck is this stuff? I am Caucasian, I am white? Does that mean you are without any culture other than genocide? What does that mean? Probably one of the only honest statements that Amy Lee Correa, the lieutenant of District 14, said is the Coast Guard cannot force someone to pay child support. That is correct. Keep in mind that Amy Lee Correa's supervisor is this commander, Tenberg, but second line supervisor is Captain Thomas King, so even higher than Tenberg. So it all comes down to, excuse me, it all comes down to this. Captain Chase and Captain King are 06 captains. They are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 ranks above Mike, who is in E6. This is the lowest enlisted, E1. E9 is the highest enlisted. At E6, you can branch off. Instead of continuing on this way, you can branch off and go this way. I didn't know any of this until recently. This is where Lundy is in 08, and this is where Fagan is, was in 09. This was back in 2019. Earlier I misspoke and I said Fairchild had been in E7, but he had been in E6 when he was the XPO. I'm sorry the camera is shaky. I have a lesion on my left arm nerve and it makes my hand shaky. Again, in 2019, the entire station that Mike was at, Coast Guard Station Apra Harbor, was made up of only enlisted folks. And so BMC here, BMCS Marston, the officer in charge, OIC stands for officer in charge, he was the top dog there at APRA, and he was never there. And his desk tested positive for cocaine. O'Brien did that. O'Brien tested his desk, or talked about it. Ha ha ha, so funny. His desk tested positive for cocaine. These are United States Coast Guard people. Freaking officers and stuff. Okay, so after Marston is Fairchild. Fairchild falls under in the chain of command. He was the executive petty officer. Then if we go across to the mechanic side, we have MK1 Mize. He was the executive petty officer, and under Mize is Mike, MK1 Muna, and he was the acting executive or acting engineer, acting EPO. And under him came these two lines that go down. So Grimes, Betzing, Jackson, Agan, Tenney, Gogo, Santiago, Maldonado, Rubens, Griffin, Preston, and I think he had some oversight of EM2 Taylor. So he has all this responsibility. This is his normal job, taking care of these people, taking care of the station. When I say his, I mean Mike. Taking care of the boats, make sure they're up and running, make sure they're mission capable. Yet he had to contend with the likes of these guys. Now, I don't have testimony from these two, so I don't know how high up it goes. If it just goes up to District 14, or if it goes much higher. But as far as the cover-up, that goes all the way up to Biden. That goes all the way up to Trump. Because the person that Trump put in place is Inspector General Kufari. He's in charge of the Department of Homeland Security. And he's corrupt. And Biden's not removing him. What the F and F, right? What's going on in America that they're hurting indigenous people, even when we serve in their militaries and when we serve honorably?